Welcome to Make Shit Happen. Our guest today is A.C. Kantara. A.C. is an immigrant from Lebanon who escaped the civil war at an age of 17 to pursue the American dream with $200 in his pocket. Welcome to the show, A.C. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking the drive and making time to come and join us.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
A.C., $200 you left in your pocket from Lebanon at age 17. And 17 is just a little kid.
Correct. But 17 years old, coming from Lebanon during the war, you're a man.
You're a man,
At that point, you've seen enough and done enough that you're above average as far as your age.
Yeah. I mean, you got to walk fast. You got to talk fast. You got to make sure you don't get killed, huh?
Correct. I mean, it wasn't always bad, but it comes in waves. But when it got kind of close, basically the decision was made. It's time to leave.
That's good. So now you're 17 and you decided to leave, or your parents decided that you should leave. Tell us a little bit. Walk us back through memory lane.
So when my parents got to witness this thing come to our doors, they made a decision, time to get him out of the country. And the conversation we had with my father at the time was, you're too young to die, you're too old to know better. So time for you to pack your stuff and leave. And we basically snuck on a Greek ship that was leaving Beirut and that made it to Cyprus. And then we went to the American embassy. After 5 days, we got our visa and we came here to go to school. And that's how the whole journey started.
Okay, so you snuck on a Greek ship.
Correct.
No ticket, no nothing.
No, the funny story is we got caught by the Greek. It wasn't Greek. It was a Cyprus, because it docked in Cyprus first.
Okay.
Their Coast Guard caught us. They put us in handcuffs. My brother and I, and they questioned us, and we told them, hey, we're just students. We just want to go to college in the United States. And they gave us said, hey, we'll give you a few days to get your visa. If you don't get it, we're going to ship you back to Lebanon. And we were fortunate enough to get our visa, and the rest is history.
Wow. And so the American embassy at that time gave you a visa. What year was that?
1985.
1985.
Yeah, May of 1985.
May of 1985. And you know what? You can't be happier enough to be here today.
I'm telling you, we had the option to go to Canada, South America, Europe. They all would have been easier to get a visa to, especially as a male coming from the Middle East, right? But we chose to come to the United States because at the time we felt that was the best place to be and the best place to build a future. And I still believe that's the case today.
So you told me before our interview that your father back in 70s or 60s went to Venezuela.
Correct.
Okay.
So he's an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Actually, he met my mother's father, who came from Venezuela to visit, came to Lebanon, and they bonded. And then my grandfather said, hey, come with me to Venezuela. I'll teach you about business. What he didn't know is that he'll end up becoming his son-in-law. And my mother was 17. I think he was 19 or so when they met, and fell in love, got married, had 5 kids in Venezuela. Then he went back to Lebanon to build his legacy.
That's good. So and then y'all came over here, and so how long before when you and your brother came over here with $200 in your pocket, how long before your family joined you back in the United States?
Well, it happened in waves. So every time we had the opportunity to send money so somebody else can come in, we would do it. So it was an average of almost every year somebody would come. Because in the beginning, I mean, our first few months, we were literally sleeping on the floor. We had this apartment that we couldn't even afford. So we wanted to make sure we have enough food to eat, and then the rest of the money we would send to Lebanon to bring family over. It took us about 5 to 6 years to bring the entire family over.
AC, you said send money. So let's go back in time and tell us, you get to America, okay? You have $200. You and your brother total $200.
Well, so here's the thing. I had $200. Later on, I found out that he had some too.
Oh, he had some too.
But I'm very generous with my money. I'm all about helping other people. We left with $200, but by the time we got here, it was way less.
Okay.
Actually, we both had probably about $200 each.
Okay.
He's a little more reserved with his money. I'm more generous, and it's not a bad or good. It just that's just how we are. But yeah, it was.
So what did you do when you get over here?
Well, we had a relative that helped us get a apartment temporarily until we got on our feet. And my brother spoke some English. I spoke no English at all. And but once you start getting hungry, and you know that you have to learn the language of the locals and natives if you really want to fit in and grow. Like, you cannot say, I'm just going to keep my own language. And one of the best advice I got was that the only time you should speak your own native language is when you pray or when you're dreaming about it. And that's it. And back then, I prayed a lot, but I knew it was important for me to learn English. So my focus was I watched TV. I had a dictionary that translated to languages. We didn't have Google back then. And so it was very interesting. Funny story, if you don't mind me adding a little story. So day 5, I had $5 left in my pocket. Let me rephrase that. $5.12 left in my pocket from my initial 200. And I was very, very hungry. I went to a local convenience store and didn't speak English very well. So I went in, and stores here are set up a little differently. So I picked up some bread, I picked up a couple other things, and I didn't know the price. So I went to the counter with a loaf of bread. I think it was like some slices of cheese and something else. And I remember asking the person a question on the price, and they kept saying, "What? What are you saying? What?" And I got a little overwhelmed. So I left the food and left. And once you're hungry, your motivation goes through the roof.
Yeah.
And that's where I knew I better get jiggy with it here and learn the language and get working to make some money.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they say necessity is the mother of all inventions.
And when you're hungry, that leads them all.
Oh man,
yes.
that is definitely, ready to go get it going. So now you get over here, you have an apartment, you and a brother sleeping on the floor. What did you do to generate money? You said you came on a student visa. You wanted to be in school. Tell us a little bit. Just tell us the story.
Now, keep in mind, this is 35 years, so I'm going to condense it.
Right.
I knew I had to do whatever it takes to eat. Anything as long as I'm not breaking any laws or do something that my morals do not agree with. And one of the first jobs I got is to be a dishwasher at a restaurant because a lot of those plates that came in from the tables are being busted had food on them. And so I would, as I'm washing dishes, I would eat. So at least, regardless what the job paid, I know there was food coming. So a lot of times they're like, "Oh, we don't need you." I'm like, "Oh, I'll volunteer. I'll come wash dishes," because I was hungry. And then they start giving me more hours and slowly start building up my reputation as the type of person that gets the job done. And the best thing about the restaurants at the time is there was unlimited food. And so then they start giving me more responsibility. And then within 2 years, they made me manager of a pizza and restaurant. And by then, my English was way better. And the bottom line is every position at the restaurant, I wanted to do better than anybody else. And that's when my leadership skills start developing because now I'm leading people. And everything falls and rises on leadership. And that's where I basically sharpened that tool.
So now you're in Pizza Hut. You're working Pizza Inn.
Yeah.
You're working. You're managing everything.
Yes. Working 100 hours a week and loving it because we get to work and eat and make enough money to send overseas to help the family escape the war.
So what is that at that time? $3 or $4 minimum wage?
$3.35 was the minimum wage,
right?
And I was very happy with it. I would when I became assistant manager, I will send either the waiter, an extra waiter home, so I can wait tables, so I can make extra money.
Mm-hmm.
My salary wasn't a whole lot, but for me, I was very grateful for it.
At that time, there was dining rooms in these restaurants.
Correct.
And so
the good old days, remember those?
The good old days.
Yes.
I hear. So if you don't mind me telling you a story, I'll tell you a story. One of my first job was at Pizza Hut. Okay, it was at Ocean Hypermarket. So I used to be a cook, and I remember first day I worked over there, I cried. Okay, and I mean, I burned myself a couple of times, and I was like, man, I can't do this thing. And anyways, my dad told me, got in the car when my dad picked me up, said, I'm never coming back. My dad said, you better be there tomorrow because we don't quit. I'm like, okay, well, I'll be there. That Ocean hypermarket Pizza Hut closed, so they moved me one on West Belford in the southwest side of town, West Belford and 59.
Yeah.
The manager over there, the guy name was Fareed. I still remember that. Iranian guy. And he was mean guy, man. And from my house to the Pizza Hut was about 35-minute walk. And my dad was working at this time. He had, he couldn't pick me up all the time. My mom didn't drive. And so I had to walk. Okay. So I walked 35 minutes. This guy will make me make sauce for 2 hours. And the sauce was hard to make.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he'll have me 6 or 7 hours on the shift. Or 5 hours in the shift, but by the time I get there, I make the sauce. He'll let me go. And so the first time he did that, I said, "Free, man, I just made the sauce. My arms hurt, everything hurts right now, and you're gonna let me go? At least I'm the cook. At least let me be the cook." He said, "No." He did that every day for a whole week, and I told my dad, "I'm tired of it." My dad said, "Well, I told my mom. My mom said, 'Well, we need the money, son. We got to have the money.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're going to quit, you better have another job.
Correct.
So I said, okay. My mom said, you got to think about it. 2 hours, at least you make $8.50. For 5 days, you make $40. At least it's better than zero. I'm like, you're right. I still remember this. He kept mistreating me. The second week I'm there, and this day I'm like, if he lets me go today, I'm quitting.
That's it.
I'm quitting. Get over there, and one of the waiters called in. Okay, didn't show up to work. So Fareed asked me, he had already cooked. The whole intention was to make the sauce and let me go. Well, there was nobody in the dining room. Okay. And because he was the manager, he loved waiting on the tables because he could get the tips. So, but he needed me that day. So he's like, hey, can you wait on this table? I said, yeah. So I'm waiting on this table. And the guy, I'm talking to these guys and everything. So one of the guy, he slipped me in $100 bill in my pocket.
Wow.
Okay, it was like a group of 10 people, slipped me in $100 pocket.
Wow.
Well, Fareed saw that. So he's like, hey, give me the money back. Give me the money. I said, what money? He said, I saw that guy give you a tip. So I'm not giving it to you. It's mine. He's like, no, you get paid $4.25. The waiter's supposed to get $2.15, whatever. Waiter's wage has still not gone up. And I'm like, man, I'm not giving it to you, Fareed. He's like, well, you're fired. I said, okay, I was going to quit anyways.
Nice.
And that day I thought about it. I'm like, you know what, man? You know what? I can't believe this guy did that to me. And I mean, I really I was mad at him for a long, long time. But I'm like, one lesson that he taught me was that, you know what? At least I showed up to work every day.
Correct.
But I did not want to give him $100.
Someone asked you a question.
Yeah.
How many times have you been fired in your life?
Once.
Okay. I've been fired probably 2 or 3 times. Never for doing a bad job, ever.
Yeah.
All 3 times was because I held my ground when I felt the right thing was not being done.
Yeah.
Or because they felt threatened by my presence.
Yeah.
Because I either had a better way to do things, or I made them look bad because they did sloppy work and I did not.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna give that guy my $100. I mean,
Good for you.
I mean, it took 2 weeks of walking 30 minutes back and forth.
Yeah.
But now good thing is sometimes on the way back, I'll ask a driver because the drivers really started feeling bad for me, and so they'll be going to deliver pizza or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, man, can you please give me a ride? Can you leave me like halfway, because that the driver's route was not going all the way, but at least they'll drop me halfway.
Yeah.
And another good part was I'd get free pizza.
That was the best part about working at a pizza inn.
Yeah.
There's a lot of leftover pizza that comes on a plate, and you get to eat
Yeah.
without having to pay for it. I got in trouble a couple of times. They said you're not allowed to eat food coming from on the plates.
Yeah.
And I said, great. And then I will swipe them into the trash because I had to wash the dishes.
Yeah.
And then I did a few times where I picked up slices from the trash because they never said I couldn't take them out of the trash. By the way, that's the entrepreneur mindset though, right? You don't break the rules, but if it's allowed or it's not against the rules, you'll do it when other people are not willing to do it. And at the time, that's what I had to do to eat.
So you know what? I have to tell you about the trash story. And I haven't told this to nobody. This is probably the first time. I used to work at Ocean Hypermarket. So when he fired me, Fareed fired me, I went to Ocean Hypermarket, talked to the people, got a job over there, right? One day the power went, it rained a lot. The power, we went to work in the morning, there was no power. So I saw them dumping all kind of steaks, ice cream and everything.
Ugh.
And I mean, the Haagen-Dazs ice cream had just come out, and I've never had Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I just seen the commercials and how good, I've heard how good it was. And they told us to throw it in the trash. So I asked my manager, can I please take 1 or 2? And they said, no, you got to throw it in the trash. So I said, okay. So I threw it in the trash, and then I went back to the trash.
Yep.
And I picked it out and I ate it.
Nice.
I mean, that was the first time I had my Haagen-Dazs ice cream.
Been there, done that. Yes.
So,
and let me tell you, we got to do what we got to do to eat. And because my mission back then was 100% of my check is going to go overseas to help the family.
Yeah.
So I had to live off the tips and of whatever money I make on the side. And I don't want to say until today that holds true, but when you're an entrepreneur on a business, you don't always get paid.
Yeah.
Right. So you hustle to build whatever goal, whatever the bullseye you're trying to hit, and you live on the minimum.
Yeah. So okay. So now tell me about Pizza Inn. So you get this Pizza Inn. You're the manager, and everything's going good. You bring in family back. You sending money back. Family's coming back. How
So
long did it take for everybody to come over here?
by 1991, we had everybody here. I would
That's
say
awesome.
1990, everybody was here.
So is everybody here today?
Everybody's here today,
Okay.
including my father. He was the last one to come in. He has passed since. I mean, he was older.
Okay.
So,
Sorry about that.
well, I mean, it was his time, and the man left a great legacy for us. So, and ultimately, that's what it's about, right? I mean, money will come and go. The legacy is something you inherit and you're proud of, and we're extremely proud of what he's done. When the whole family was here, my motivation changed because the goal for that restaurant at the time was to help the family come in and get on its feet. It helped put one of my brothers through medical school. It helped bring a lot of people in from overseas. It helped build our homes. So at that point, all those goals were met. And now it's like, you know what, time for me to have a life. And that's when I shifted. That's where I got a job working in aerospace. We're doing.
So here, hold on. You ended up buying the Pizza Hut.
Pizza Inn, yeah.
Pizza Inn. I'm sorry.
We
I
bought
keep saying
it.
that.
We bought it, and we had it for about 4 years.
So you're working, and then you bought the Pizza Inn,
Correct.
and then you had it for 4 years, and then you turned around and sold them.
Yeah, we sold it to another gentleman who took it over, and then I got a job, and at the time I loved it. Just doing mailroom type work for a company called Lockheed Martin that did support for NASA, and I loved it because for the first time since I've been in this country, I can work from 8 to 5, and then have the evenings off and weekends off. And for someone who's used to working 100-hour weeks, that was kind of a nice break. But that didn't last long, Sam, because once you have that entrepreneurship mindset, you'll get bored really fast with normal life. And after a few weeks, after I got off of work, I would sit and say, now what? Like, what's the next big thing, right? And that's when I started, launching businesses, investing in different things, and growing a whole new, I would say legacy, but start the beginning of a legacy.
So what did you do after that?
While I was there, I started a side construction company.
Okay.
And eventually, after working there for about 6 or 7 years, and I started in the mailroom, and I worked my way up all the way where I was supporting the astronauts. And it was very interesting because you don't expect someone without a degree to be working directly with astronauts. And by the way, there's something I want to clarify about astronauts. What you see on TV is not the real thing. They are the nicest, kindest, most humble individuals you'll ever meet. Like in movies, they show you kind of like Ice from Top Gun, right?
Yeah.
They show them very pompous and arrogant. In real life, they're very soft-spoken, very kind, very down-to-earth, very grounded, no pun intended, individuals. So, and when I left, I'm like, I'm gonna miss those guys because these individuals are the cream of the crop of the entire globe. Because a lot of those astronauts were from Canada and from Spain and from Israel, and to be around them elevated my bar as far as the top of goals I should have in my life. So that was the hardest part about leaving. But a lot of people have a misconception about astronauts, and for those who are listening, they act nicer and kinder than any person you ever meet.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you leave there and start a construction company.
Yeah. Then I got full time in the construction company, and loved it because the worst thing about working behind a desk in a cubicle is you put on a lot of weight and you have a stagnant physically. You have a stagnant life. Working in the construction industry, you have a chance to get on the move all the time, and you meet a lot of interesting people, and you control your wealth. When you work for, especially the government, you're limited as far as how much money you can make. When you have your own company, construction being one of them, there's no limit. And that went very well. Matter of fact, one of those companies I still have today, every year I say something like, yeah, maybe this will be my last year. But it employs a lot of people. I have great relationships with great clients, and I will never turn my back on them. So I don't necessarily do it for the money, even though it's very profitable. I do it because of that great relationships that I've built now almost 16 years.
Gotcha.
Company. Yeah.
Gotcha. And so you have a construction company, and is that what led you to be in real estate? I know you told me that you have rental properties and
Correct. So I got a knack for real estate when I was in college. So for me to be able to stay in this country to go back to college, I kept changing my degree, and so I decided to get into real estate, and I decided to get my real estate license, and I never did practice real estate as far as an agent. And what they teach you in school doesn't apply on the streets. I mean, it's a totally different ballgame. But I realized that to grow tremendous wealth, acquisition was it. When you're an agent, you'll make your commission, which is great, but you have to work a lot of weekends, and you're away from family, a lot of Sundays, and your hours are determined by the demand of the client. Whenever you're an investor, like myself, I can decide to take a Saturday off and spend it with my family, especially as I got older. When I was younger, I didn't mind. But when I got older, I wanted to have more freedom, or at least I wanted to be able to choose when to go and when not to go. And real estate was a great way to do it. And I went through a span where my first 2 years, I got so aggressive with it, Sam, I picked up 19 properties within a 2-year window. And people thought I was stretching myself too thin, but I liked the challenge. I liked the thrill of the hunt. I liked, buying a property and not knowing when I open the door what I'm going to see. And that taught me a lot, but it also helped me create enough foundation to keep that growing. But I no longer go after smaller real estate deals. I try to go for something a little bigger. Same amount of work, whether you do a $50,000 real estate deal or $500,000 real estate deal, same amount of work, logistically speaking. So it's just a lot more money with the bigger deals.
Just the risk is bigger.
The risk is much bigger, but they're all calculated risks. And part of being an entrepreneur, that's what you do.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then you also had mentioned that you were in fitness industry.
Correct. So, diversity is important. And even though real estate was doing very, very well, we bought a couple of franchises that were, and I'd rather not mention the name. We bought a couple of franchises that were fitness franchises, and they were like boutique studios, and they did very, very, very well. But we decided a couple of years later that to get out, even though they were profitable, we made a decision to sell them because I felt those kind of boutique fitnesses require more presence from the ownership.
Cannot be absentee owner.
And the franchise presented it as such, but it's never the case.
It's never the case.
With those, you got to be present because a lot of your employees are, the next gens and younger, and they'll perform better whenever there's somebody who's part of the ownership.
Part of the owner, part of the owner group.
So we did that for a couple, maybe 2 or 3 years. It was a great experience. We learned a lot. We built great relationships with a lot of people. And then we sold, matter of fact, we sold them right before this whole COVID-19 mess started.
Oh, wow. So now you said diversity is important. Okay. Some people have opinion. They're like, you know what? Do one thing or have one main thing and do that better. Some people say, well, diverse yourself. I'm assuming your train of thought is, hey, you know what? Diversification is more important. Tell us a little bit about that.
All right. So one thing that I'm really big on before I get into that is team. Like you got to have the right team. When you diversify, yes, I believe you got to stay within your niche. So there's a principle called the Pareto principle. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or not. No. It's the 80-20 rule, right? So 80% of effort, energy, and resources and your God-given talent should be focused on the top 20% of whatever it is you do best. For me, it's team building. For me, is being creative and creating plans and strategies and so on. So now realize if I want to get into industry I'm not familiar with, I'm going to need to build a team of people that are very, very familiar in that industry that can also trust and work with and have a good harmony in our relationship, where they can have skin in the game, but they can also have big interest in whatever that business is. And so that was the direction that I took, and it proven to be very, very, very successful. So whatever we do, we don't get involved in it unless we have a partner who's in charge of whatever that new venture is, that knows enough about it, knows more than I do. Again, I'm the C student who hires the A student, and I give them a big piece of the pie as a reward, because you got to reward your people. I mean, your people, they need to walk away from the deal in the end saying, when is the next one? Because they were very happy with the check they got in the end.
Yeah, with the check they got in the end.
So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. So and that 80-20 rules applies to almost everything. Everything, yes, right? In the world. I mean, it's just like I'm in furniture business, and
the top 20% salespeople produce 80% of the revenue.
80% of the revenue.
Amen to that. Yes.
Or 20% of your inventory. Top 20% of the inventory is 80% of the revenue. It's crazy. I mean, it's everything, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, when you say that principle, it's so much applies to everything.
Yeah.
So tell me, you said that all success in life, revolves around the team. Okay. And you think with the right team, everybody succeeds and everything.
Correct.
What kind of tip or what kind of advice will you have for people who struggles in giving out power and, or who struggle, Come on, you've
Great
seen
question.
you've seen the
Yes.
business owner who says, "I want to do everything."
Yes, big
You know?
mistake.
Yeah.
All right, so pride and ego is your biggest enemy when you build teams. Or pride and ego prevent you from building teams. Pride and ego will be the cause of a lot of great ideas collapsing or failing before they even start. So you got to set your ego aside and allow others to take credit and get rewarded and even get the attention for the success that whatever you did had. So if you're okay with that, then you know you were able to keep your ego in check. And when I was younger, I was one of those that wanted all the glory. And then I realized that you cannot do it. Now, a great example, do you mind if I get into this a little deeper?
No, please.
So
I want you to.
a great example is, Mount Everest. There's actually a principle or law called the law of Mount Everest. The listeners can Google it. And basically says no one person, no matter how gifted, talented, or well-equipped he is or she is, can climb Mount Everest by themselves. They need a team. When you have a goal, that is your Mount Everest, and you have to make sure you have the right team on board. If you haven't been to the top of Mount Everest before, you better get a guy that knows way more than you do that's going to lead the way, and make sure you equip him and pay him accordingly. Now, the reason it's important for you to build the right team, and this is where Hispanic culture has the problem, Lebanese culture has the problem. A lot of very tight family cultures have that problem. They always want to bring their family with them to the top of Mount Everest. And sometimes that's the worst thing you can do. Mm-hmm. What I'm about to say is not very popular, but let's just speak truth. I love my brother, but he's not the guy I'm going to take with me to the top of Mount Everest. So I go to my brother and say, hey, brother, listen, I trust you. I like you. We've done this together for many, many, many years. I want you with me on a team, and let's conquer Mount Everest. And then I go to my wife, and then I go to whatever. Well, my wife comes to me and says, honey, listen, I would love to go, but I hate the cold. And guess what? It's very cold on top of Mount Everest. Mm-hmm. So she's out. My brother says, hey, my balance is not that good. Climbing mountains. Not because you love and trust someone doesn't mean they're going to be the right team member for you. Mm-hmm. So you got to make sure that you have the right team. So in life, when you take on an endeavor, when you take on any goal, whether it's personal or whatever, you got to have the right team, and you got to pick them wisely. And sometimes you have guilt trip given by family members. Hey, why don't you take me with you? Why don't you get me in on this deal? Everybody who's going to be in on a deal, they better add value somehow. Mm-hmm. If they don't add value for that particular mission, for that particular bullseye, for that particular Mount Everest, they're the wrong person for you. You still love them, but they're the wrong person. So at some point, you want to make sure that your team is equipped with the right attributes to contribute. Otherwise, you're going to fail. And a lot of people fail not because they lack talent themselves, but because they surround themselves with the wrong people. Mm-hmm. There might be great people, but again, and by the way, I've had that challenge myself. I have a very, very close family member who he was a bit of a mentor for me when I was younger. And he used to come with great ideas. And every time I left deflated because he punched a bunch of holes in them. He was an analytical person. I was a risk taker. He was the last person I should have went to. He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. I love him to death. But is he the right person to give me advice when I want to take bold decisions? And when I left, every time I met with him, I was like, oh man, because he was good about analyzing all the risks. Mm-hmm. Part of being an entrepreneur sometimes to jump first and then evaluate the risk as you go. And so with him, I decided I'm going to stop going to that guy because I left discouraged every time. So don't always listen to the people you love, because even though their heart is in the right place, they may not be the best people to give you the right advice to help you get to Mount Everest unless they've been there before.
They've been there before.
If they haven't been there before, then talk to them for some input, but don't make them make the decision for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. I mean, because if you get discouraged and they kill your plan before it's even
you're done
blooming. Yeah. That's done. Now, you build these businesses and you build these teams and you have these real estate business where you can touch everything, and a lot of things tangible. Construction business, tangible. Fitness business, tangible.
Correct.
Pizza Hut in tangible. You can eat it and all that stuff, right?
Correct.
And then you go to network marketing.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the best thing to ever happen to me, by the way.
Best thing.
All right. Outside of coming to this country and marrying my wife, I would say that's some of the best thing. And I'll say that not because of the opportunity to make great money and build a legacy, but because of the people. I have made best friends in network marketing than any other business I got involved in. network marketing.
I'm going to stop you right
Yes.
there. So a lot of people have, when they hear network marketing, they want to run.
Correct.
They want to run as fast as they can.
Correct.
And they want to get out of, they're like, man, we don't want to go to these meetings. We don't want to do network marketing. There's no, you never know when the money is going to come. It's just pyramid scheme,
Correct.
right? They think about that, right?
Correct.
Now I want you to tell me, why did you decide
To do it anyway?
to do it anyways?
Because nobody who's ever been on that Mount Everest of network marketing would ever tell you, don't go to meetings. They'll never tell you, run. They will never tell you it's a scam. They'll tell you it's about time you get involved. It's one of those industries that you control your own destiny, and you have a team of supporters that show up to those events and meetings that pour into you and lift you up and empower you and equip you. And you get that for free. A lot of those people, they're very relational and they like to help other people. And the reason I loved it is, for me, significance is very important in life. And I'll get into more details on the three things I look for every day in my daily life. Significance is very important. I like to be in a position where I can add value to people's lives, whether I get something out of it or not. And there's something very, very, very empowering about being able to help someone you don't know, you've never met, you'll never see again, and make sure that whenever they left your presence, they're a little better than they were before. And significance is not just giving people money. It's also equipping people with tools to take care of themselves. It's the difference between giving a man a fish or teaching him to fish. What network marketing has done for me, it made me better than I ever was before. And now I'm passing it forward. So as we grew the company, and you only grow in this company is when you help people succeed. That's the only way you do it. So again, if you listen to those people that say run, it's because they've never been to the Mount Everest before. Once they've been there, trust me, nobody ever makes it to the top and then goes around telling people don't do it because the view is beautiful from the top.
Oh, I'm sure the view is beautiful. Now, some people, they get, they just, get discouraged when, they try to take the product to people. And I mean, I've dabbed my feet in network marketing. I'm just not a network marketing guy.
Correct. It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
Furniture business is not for everybody.
Oh, furniture
Construction business not for everybody, right?
No, definitely not.
So again, it may or may not be somebody's niche, right? But a lot of people that stay in network marketing, from my experience, now I've been at 6+ years, is that they love the relationships they built. So they may not make money, but they're part of a group that's supportive, that's uplifting, that makes them feel good about themselves, whether they make money or not. And for that, people stick around.
And my guest last week was Lindy Eldridge, and she also was, she's also in network marketing, and told us that she built herself a 6-figure income, doing network marketing. And I mean, so it just so happened that, next week I got another one.
So I would love for you to meet my wife one day. So let me talk about my wife real quick. So I have 2 heroes in my life.
Okay.
3. Jesus Christ, obviously. My mother, who I believe I got my strength and resilience and persistence from. And my wife. So my wife used to practice medicine. She taught at Baylor College of Medicine. She practiced medicine for many years. We have 3 kids. And one of her goals was she wants to be home when the kids get on the bus. She wants to be home when they get off the bus. And when you practice medicine, that's hard to do. And network marketing made it possible for her to do just that. So the goal with us, when we got involved in network marketing, health and wellness company, it complements her passion, helping people with their health, is let's grow it enough to where you no longer need the income you make from the practice. And within a year, she did that. And she did that helping people get healthier. So the story here is that it's possible for someone who's never done it before to get involved and do it. And by the way, it doesn't have to be the company we're part of. Once you find your niche, once you find something you're passionate about, and if you have passion with working with people and helping people, network marketing is a great platform to do it.
And what is the name of the company that you are?
ID Life.
ID Life.
Yeah, ID stands individually designed life. So our product is super clean, but we're known for our individually designed vitamins and supplement line. So you and I, we're different heritage, different background, different exposures, different medical conditions, different aches. Well, when you take a free health assessment online, and it tells you exactly what you need to take based on your needs, not mine. So you can have millions of different kind of combinations. And now we have a DNA test that also tells you, based on your DNA, what you should and should not take. And it's all built into one. I mean, it's world-class products and technology. ID
D life. So like I like ID like identification. So I
Correct.
for ink, D for David.
Correct. Life.
So okay, wow.
Yeah. So can I do a little something while I'm here?
Sure.
So my wife and I, so we're big into helping others and passing things forward. So this whole incident with Beirut, the Beirut explosion. I'm not sure when listeners are listening to this, but on August 4th there was this huge explosion in Beirut. 200 plus so far confirmed dead, over 100 still missing, 80,000 homes destroyed, 300,000 people without a home. That is brutal for a country who's been beaten down by a war for so long. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here, but we want to make a difference even all the way from here. So my wife and I decided we're gonna, for every person that orders any of our products, we're not gonna just match the proceeds, we're gonna double the proceeds. Our goal is to help as many families as possible that lost everything, including their jobs, including family members. $400 to $500 per family can go a long way as far as putting food on the table until they get on their feet. So our goal is to raise $10,000. So can I?
Sure.
Okay. So beirut.idlife.com, any of the products you order that comes to the website, beirut.idlife.com, we will not just match the proceeds, but we will double them personally, my wife and I. And we're setting them. We actually have already connected with one of the bishops in Lebanon. They're taking in a lot of the misplaced people. And I talked to him, matter of fact, yesterday. And he said $400 to $500 per family can go a long way as far as feeding them for, a couple of months.
Beirut.idlife.com.
Correct.
And if someone wants to reach in, get in touch with you to find out anything else they can do, how can they do? Are you on social media? Are you?
I'm on Facebook, A.C. Kantara, Kantara. Can I give my phone number here?
Sure, you can.
By the way, I don't usually give my phone number like this, but we really want to impact people. We have people that have lost everything when they were already broke. So I'm going to give it out, and anybody who wants to participate, help, or just want to send money directly. And if somebody doesn't trust what we're doing, we can contact directly with the bishop in Lebanon, and then they can send the money directly to them. My phone number is 713-820-2865. 713-820-2865.
And that's a very good thing you're doing. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's not about just earning. It's about giving too. I mean, and life gives you a fuller meaning when you give and help others.
Correct.
It's a different kind of joy that you get.
Significance.
Yeah.
Significance. So can I shift, make it a little more positive?
Yes.
All right. So last year, my wife and I had a breakthrough. So we believe in checking out and pausing every once in a while because life is crazy, right? So after grinding for 34 years, last year was the first time I've taken extended time off. And for the first time since I left Lebanon 35 years ago, my wife and I went to Lebanon last year.
Okay.
But I told her, if we're going to go that far, on the way back, let's just make some pit stops and visit Europe. So we spent 3 weeks traveling Lebanon, Greece, Europe, went to London. I mean, again, it's the power of technology today where you can run your business from your phone. But when we were in southern Italy, and southern Italy is beautiful, we had a bit of a breakthrough that I would like to share with you listeners.
Sure.
So one thing that her and I figured out when we're sitting there reflecting on, because we know people that have money will tell you, money will not buy you happiness. It may buy you a nicer phone, nicer car, nicer house. Money will not make people happy. I'm sure you know a bunch of people that probably have a lot of money that are miserable. Miserable. I know a lot. Matter of fact, a very good friend of mine who was very, very, very wealthy tried to commit suicide because he was miserable. Money does not bring happiness. So her and I try to evaluate what is it that truly makes someone happy regardless if they have money or not. And when we were in southern Italy, we had time to reflect because our phones had no service for like 2 or 3 days. So we were totally checked out. So the look on his face, he was like, what? Yes, 2 or 3 days. But let me tell you, if you want to be somewhere without a service, that's a good place to be. And we're in a place called Sorrento in southern Italy, beautiful, by the Amalfi Coast. So we realized we're sitting down having lunch and we start brainstorming, what is it that brings happiness to people? And we pinned it down to 3 things. I'm sure there's more, but the 3 main things were significance. We talked about it earlier. Progress is when you create progress every day, and gratitude. So, and oddly enough, the initials for that is GPS, kind of like the map to happiness, right? So what we practice every day and what we teach the people that we mentor and we lead every day is try to practice those things every day. So every day, start your morning with gratitude. Write down 3 or 4 things you're very grateful for. When I'm mad at my son for doing something he's not supposed to, sometimes as parents, they get to us, right? I always think of what are the 2 or 3 things I love about my son? And all of a sudden I feel better, right? Gratitude cannot exist in the same space as anger, same space as depression, as the same space as sadness. So gratitude is huge. Progress, our goal is to make a little progress every day. Whatever it is that's important to you, if you can create progress every day, whether it's your health, whether it's your diet, whether it's your going to the gym, whether it's your business, whether you're building, whatever it is, create a little progress every day. It doesn't have to be massive. If you do a little bit every day, before you know it, you'll get to whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, right? Mm-hmm. And significance is basically doing something for somebody else where you get nothing in return. And I go to bed at night, Sam, sometimes with a smile on my face, because I know today I impacted somebody in a positive way where I get nothing in return.
Yeah.
Great medicine. So if anybody listening feels that they're in a bad place, GPS is something you should try. It may not work for you, but almost everybody that I shared that with, they're like, oh my God, you need to write a book about it. Gratitude, progress, and significance. If you can create 3 of those, if you can create those 3 a little bit every day, your life will be way better than everybody else around you and better than it was before you tried that.
I love it. Gratitude, be grateful for what you have.
Yeah.
Wake up in the morning. Hey, thank you for waking me up. Progress, to have the progress, in your life or that day.
Yeah.
And then be significant, do something that's significant, just like what you're doing in this Lebanon, Beirut thing. Yes. Man, thank you for sharing that. That was really good. Question, we're coming towards that part that is towards the end of our interview, because we like to keep it at a certain time. I love to talk, so I can go for hours, right?
No worries.
And with the feel of it, look like me and you can talk for hours.
Amen to that.
Over here. Tell me your point of view, or how do you feel about humility and why is it important? If it is important.
Yes, it is important.
Okay.
And earlier I mentioned how ego and pride is the enemy.
Right.
It's an enemy of progress. It's an enemy of gratitude. It's an enemy of anything that's good. So humility is something that honestly doesn't come natural to a lot of people. It doesn't come natural to me. It got easier as I got older, and I'm not sure it's because it came with age or came because I practiced it enough. But I gotta always remind myself to, stay humble, stay grateful, and by the way, I have a hard time focusing on things that, like when I had to send my bio over, I have a hard time doing that because I feel like I'm bragging.
Yeah.
Right. Now, having said that, sometimes you have to brag so you can have influence. Like if people don't see what you're doing and the success you're having, it's hard for you to have influence with people. Mm-hmm. So I struggle saying, hey, look at me, right? But in the beginning, it used to be, look at me. And I say in the beginning when I was 20 and 30 years old, I didn't just celebrate my wins, and you should always celebrate your wins. But it was like in your face, celebrate your wins. And that's horrible. Like looking back, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed because we all change and evolve. So so humility is something that even if you don't have, you should practice, and it's a good place to be.
Yeah, you know what? So I kind of, I'm going to say that I'm on the same boat as you are. Sometimes, I feel the same way. I'm like, if I'm bragging, I feel a little embarrassed maybe.
Yeah.
You said, we mentioned some of the stuff when you came with your family over here. I'm going to go back a little bit. Okay. And I'm sure that was some kind of joy and happiness that you felt, right? That when you and your brother sent money back, brought the rest of the family back. Nothing
significance.
Very significant
Yeah.
because you were united with your family and everything.
Correct.
And I feel like you said that when you do this network marketing, it brings you joy. And you've talked about joy and happiness here and there. And I feel like you're one of those guys who you like to be happy or some kind of, that's either by helping people in Beirut, gratitude or
Fulfillment,
whatever. Fulfillment,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What is your definition of happiness and joy?
Ask me that question again. I want to make sure.
What is your definition
of
happiness and joy?
Man, it's a feeling I'll have to describe. I guess feeling fulfilled from actions you've taken or things that you've accomplished, and maybe maximizing on your God-given gifts, because God has given us all niches, all gifts, right? I'm happy when I sit back and watch others succeed, especially if I had part of it. There's such, when you look at your son, you have kids, by the way?
Yes, I do.
How many do you have?
I have 4.
How awesome does it feel when your son does something and succeeds,
Yeah.
right?
No feeling like that in the world.
I feel that with people, even if they're not my kids, when I got them to a point in their life where they can make that extra $500 to $1,000 a month, where now they're like, I can afford to set for my daughter in college. I can afford to buy a car. I can afford to pay rent now. Very, very, very fulfilling. That piece to me, and I don't want to say I've done it a lot, but I've done it a lot in the last 6-7 years. I've always done it, but never at this level. And there's something I ask people, and I hope, if you don't mind if I get into this part. So I ask people questions when I meet them that are struggling. And we all have our struggles, we all have our demons, and so do I. Are you paid what you're worth in life? And most people say no. Nobody ever feels they're paid what they're worth. Do you see yourself doing what you're doing right now for the rest of your life? Most people will say no. That tells me they're not happy doing whatever it is they're doing. So my goal is to give them options. And I've met with people that were interested in making extra income. And even though I'm like, let me introduce you to network marketing, even though that was not a right fit, but because that relationship was so good, I said, listen, this may not be a good fit for you, but I have something else that might be a good fit, whether it's a different business venture or a real estate investment or whatever it is. So helping people get to a new level in their lives and growing and equip them with something like knowing how to fish on their own, to me, that's very fulfilling and brings me a great deal of happiness. So the way I would define it is impacting others in a positive way.
Impacting. That's a very great answer. Now you said that sometimes you know what I said, teach, exactly. I've said that a couple of times. Teach a man, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man how to fish.
Correct.
He'll eat forever. But sometimes you have to, when you're telling people, hey, listen, instead of 1 fish today, let's catch 2 fishes.
Correct.
And they don't want to do it. What do you do for that?
All right. So the average person, Sam, cannot imagine catching a lot of fish. Now we're using fish as a symbolic symbol. Now we're talking about money, right? So if I say, hey, let's go catch 1 fish today. Let's just go do 5 push-ups today. Let's just walk 1 mile today. You don't say, let's go run a marathon today, right?
Yeah.
Even if somebody's out of shape, even if they have uncertainty, after they walk a mile, the next day you're like, you know what? Let's make it 1.5 miles today. And then you add, let's try to catch 2 fish today. Start small. See, small victories are huge. So people always want to go for the grand slam. They always want to go for the home run. But the true success in life comes from a combination of a lot of little victories. And little victories are huge because little victories, little wins, create momentum, create good feelings, put wins in your sail. So put people in a position where they have those little wins, the little RBIs, the little, I gained 4 yards on this run. Before you say, let's go for the Hail Mary, right? People love Hail Marys. They love, the grand slams, but that's unrealistic in real life. So once you start creating little wins for people, once you put them in a place where they can accomplish, hey, I just want to make an extra $400 a month so I can pay my car note. Great, let's just do that. But once they do that, then it's easy to say, listen, now that you can make 4, how about we try to make it 8 next month? And then slowly grow it. So start small, create little victories, gives them momentum. Momentum is good for morale, right? Next thing you know, they're crushing whatever it is they're doing, whether it's network marketing or the regular business or their fitness or whatever their goal is.
That's a good way to put it. Well put. AC, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
I appreciate you sharing, everything that you have shared so far with us, and it's a great joy to have you on the show. Before I end the show, I always ask everybody, let's say everything that you have done in this world has been erased. Today is the last day in this world, and you are now going to transcend to the next world to be there with your creator, right? And someone gives you a piece of paper and a pen. Everything else is gone. This interview has been erased. Everything is done. And you can write for your kids, your grandkids, your future generation, for the rest of the world, 3 things that you think will bring you great joy, or that's the way to live, or something that someone will follow and they'll succeed in life? What would those three things be?
Again, I go back to gratitude, progress, and significance.
Okay.
I mean, if you can have little wins in those every day, little wins, nothing major, no major home runs, just little wins in those three areas every day, everything will fall into place.
So let's go that for number one: gratitude, progress, and joy.
Yes.
Your GPS rule.
Yes.
What is the second? You should write a book about that, by the way.
So my wife and I decided to write a book. So yes, and actually we started, and then life gets in the way. Number two, I would say, build great relationships. Relationships are, everything falls and rises on the relationships you have and the people you have around you. And when you build authentic, genuine relationships with people, regardless of the money, you treat people nice regardless. Be kind regardless. Give them back regardless. Love on them regardless. They say love cures everything. And somebody says, well, that didn't work. Well, then increase the dose, right? So build genuine relationships with people. I would say that's number two.
Awesome. I love that. Number three.
Number three, leave the world better than you found it. I would say that for sure. And that's legacy. Legacy is not about what you do now, it's about what you leave behind. And at my age, I'm 53 years old. I have 3 young kids. The oldest about to turn 14. Great kids, amazing kids. I'm thinking legacy now. I want to make sure that I leave them better and leave this world better than I found it. And if I can do that, I would say that's a successful life.
Leave the world better than you found it, and that's also significance.
That's part of it's all connected, isn't it?
It's all connected.
Yes.
The GPS.
GPS of happiness.
I'm hoping that I will, have a signed autograph book, soon.
I would love to share that with you. Yes.
With AC from A.C. Kantara, and what's your wife's name?
Dana.
AC Kantara. AC and Dana Kantara, and signed to me.
Yes,
Remember.
for sure. Can I have another minute with you?
Please.
Okay. So
you got about 8 minutes.
Okay. So I'm gonna shout out 2 people.
Okay.
One is you, Sam.
Thank you.
Okay. What you do here is quite significant for people. Doing this, I'm looking at your studio. I'm looking at your helper. Both of you put a lot of effort, energy, and resources to add value to other people's lives. And for the listeners, I hope you take that and be grateful for what Sam and Angel are doing here. So shout out to you and the effort you put in. I can tell you, this is a top-notch studio. It's class act people from the minute I walked in. And for that, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
So for those listening, feel free to shout them out. Are you on social media, by the way?
Yes, I am. I'm on Instagram, Life of Super Sammy Z, Facebook, and Sam Xavier.
How do they find you, connect with you?
How do people connect me? Well, I have a lot of Instagram and Facebook.
Great. All right. So look up Sam. The other person is my wife. So my wife went from being an employee to being a great entrepreneur. And she's the reason I wake up every morning. She's the reason I have the ambition that I do. She's the reason I was able to achieve a lot of my potential. So Dana, if you're listening, I love you, honey, and I wouldn't be here without you.
Man, that is so awesome.
Yes.
I feel like you have great love for your wife, and that's awesome.
The best thing ever happened to me.
That's awesome.
Outside of Jesus and my mother.
Yes. Outside of Jesus and your mother.
Yes.
So you said that twice. I mean, that really means it. You really mean it.
Yes.
You have boys, girls. What do you have?
2 boys and a girl.
2 boys and a girl
in the middle, and they couldn't be any different. The oldest one is the rule follower. He'll never break a law his whole life. He's just as good as they get. The middle one, her mother and I feel she'll run the CIA one time. She acts like your typical blonde as far as what people think blondes are that may not be very smart. She is one of the smartest, most clever individuals you'll ever meet. She solved problems way before they even happen.
Uh-huh.
And that's Molly. And then Cullen is the young one. He's the rebel. He's the black sheep. He's the super athletic. He reminds me of me a lot. But can I add something else? They're actually my stepkids. They're not my kids.
Okay.
They're not my biological kids, but they are my children.
Okay.
He reminds me of me a lot. He's very physically gifted and talented. Doesn't do so well in school. He struggles. Short attention span. So he's a project, but he's just one of those cool kids to have around. When he's around, it's going to be fun. So yes, I do.
And how long have you been married?
Almost 8 years now.
8?
8 years, yeah.
Okay.
So I married to an instant family. This is my first marriage. My life has been about build, and I didn't focus much on joy and family until I met my current wife, and then all of a sudden the brakes were on. I mean, we
Everything was
stopped,
on, huh?
and we're like, okay, she's
So,
the
so
one.
you married pretty late in in life.
Correct.
You basically were building an empire.
Building the legacy for family I haven't had yet, and she made it possible. She helped put it all together.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you found it. I mean, makes you. I feel like you're happier, and I mean, I see the smile on your face, and
Thank you.
speak volume. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for taking the time. And I mean, I tell this to all my guests, and I really mean it. I really enjoyed this this interview. I really enjoyed listening to you. I love the GPS. Probably the best thing that I've heard in a long time. A lot of people ask me, why do I do the podcast? And I've never kind of said that, but you know what? I do it for selfish reasons. Okay. And I mean, I do it one of the main reason I do it is because to be selfish. And I'm going to go ahead and admit that today, because every time I have a guest on this on this show, I get to learn a lot. And I take a part of their life and I think about
Smart.
it. And you're not gonna believe it. I listen to my shows a couple of times. Sometimes I've had this gentleman that I had on the show, Brad Duitzer, and he was Brad Deitzer. Sorry, Deitzer, and he was my episode number 50, and I've already heard that show 3 times. Okay, I had a lady named Christine Handy who survived breast cancer and wrote this book called Walk Beside Me, and I've already listened to her twice. And I mean, I've Swapnil, who, an immigrant from India, went from $200,000 to $2 billion and more going now. I just saw a video of him yesterday, and I've heard him a couple of times. And I mean, and one of the reasons I listen to them is because, you can't remember, something once, right? And I tell this to all my staff all the time. If you have already told, like I tell my managers, if you've told the salespeople something 20th time, let's make it today the 21st.
Yeah.
If you say you've already done it 50, let's make today the 51st.
There's power in repetition.
The power of repetition, right?
Yes.
But I do this for a selfish reason.
Yeah.
And I learn a lot because nobody knows everything.
But you're sharing that with the world.
And I'm sharing it with the world,
which
and
is a
I'm
beautiful
building
thing.
this a legacy.
You're
So
building the legacy. Yes.
I'm kind of happy that you said that word, because someone asked me that, and I said, man, it's my legacy. I said, one day I'm gonna be gone, and 50 years from today or 60 years from today, my great grandkids are listening to this, and they're like, that used to be my great grandfather.
So how old are your kids?
So I had kids at an early age. Okay. So I have a 24-year-old,
Oh wow.
a 21. My daughter gonna be 21 next month, and I have twins who just turned 20. And matter of fact, one of my twins are working here.
Nice.
My son is a very hard worker. The youngest one, and my daughter. I mean, she's very smart, but she needs. I mean, I think we need to tell her a little more that how smart she is. I need to put her in the middle of the action so she can see how smart she is. Yeah. I have my older daughter is who's going to be 21, very smart. Just have a short fuse.
That's fine.
She's she needs to. We need to help her to, manage life without blowing up. And then I have my older son who's going to be an architect next year. This year, from U of H. He ended up going. He ended up doing a 6-year school plan, but I think he found the passion in the second year of architect school, and architect school at U of H is a 5-year plan, which at every school is 5-year plan.
And that's a tough field.
It's a tough field.
That's a tough study. Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I remember this, and I'm gonna end the show with this. I remember when he went to U of H to be an architect. And there was a Saturday, me and my wife, we had went somewhere. We had late dinner with some friends. And we were coming back home, and it's about 11:45, 11:50. So I called him. I said, "Hey, Greg, where are you at?" And he said, "Oh, I'm at school, Dad." I said, "Son, it's about 12 o'clock." He said, "Yeah, I know. I'm at the studio, and there's about 100 people over here." I said, "Come on." I said, I don't believe it. I said, I need for you to be home. He said, Dad, I don't think I'll be, because you were supposed to be home. He stayed at campus that year. I said, you were supposed to be at home. He's like, well, I can't be. I'm at the studio. I'm like, is it okay if let me let you go? I'm at the studio. You're embarrassing me. So I said, okay, fine. So I told my wife, let's go drive over there because I really want to see this darn studio where people are over there at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I get over there and I was shocked. I was shocked. There was not 100, but there was at least 60, 70 kids. 1 o'clock in the morning. And so the architect school is something that I've never seen. I mean, I've been over there several times since then. And I mean, man, there's like, these kids like bring the cots. They take a shower over there. They're sleeping over there. They're sleeping in blankets. I mean, I remember one time my son had a project that was due. And then he called, because I wake up early. So he calls me at 4:30. He's like, Dad, are you awake? I said, yeah. He said, I forgot something at home. I need for you to bring it to me. I said, okay, I will. And I get over there and I mean, there's hundreds of kids just sleeping over there and like nothing. So, I mean, architect school is probably one of the hardest school, and those kids put more than any other, any other, course or field or whatever. And, and it's a tough.
Seeing those kids do that, like I'm listening to you and I'm thinking two things. One, when we have kids that are still willing to do that now, that means the future of this country is still good.
Yes.
Right? Because that is the future of this country, not a lot of the mess that the media wants you to see. And two, what he's doing right now, which is a lot of entrepreneurs do, is temporary sacrifice for long-term reward.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, what those kids are doing, your son included, is they're sacrificing, because when you're college age, at midnight, you want to be either partying with your friends or something, or sleeping, not studying. So hats off to your son and all the youth that are the future of this country.
AC, you could have bought me anything, but you could have given me a gift, you could have given me money, but time is something that nobody can give, and it's a precious commodity. Thank you for donating your time. Thank you for sharing it with my audience, with the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.